What's going on, everybody? ITP Paladin 929 here, otherwise known as ADR 929. I haven't done any YouTube uploads lately, and I'm trying to expand upon my content based on some recommendations of trying to build, so I thought, why not just go with the patch note and put in my opinion, because this is actually not necessarily controversial, but there's definitely some input that I want to put in there, considering that it does affect some heroes in a very strong way, and how the viability in playing goes. Now, I primarily stream on Twitch at ITP Paladin 929, and I'd appreciate it if you consider following me on there, as well as here on YouTube, because I'm going to try and do some uploads in between. I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do YouTube content, but I want to try at least, so be sure to consider subscribing, and we'll see if that builds up if you guys are, interested in my content. I'll do pretty much anything that piques my interest, but for now I'm just going over the patch notes just as a kind of like an intro to it. So here we start with February 18th, which is today. I should be able to get the video out on today as well. If not, it'll be tomorrow, in which case this will be a day late, but this is essentially the comments that are going on, and these are the hero updates. I have yet to actually play the game, and I've taken a look at everything. So let's start with basically these are the hero updates, and there's bug fixes, including one that I'm going to go over before the end of this video, basically commenting about how much I hate it. But Orisa is the first hero on the table for a balance patch. So the developer comment reads that they're trying to make Fortify more reliable by preventing large bursts of incoming damage and make it more consistent as a defensive ability. All fine and dandy. And what their fix was for Fortify to prevent critical headshot damage while effect is active. I don't 100% agree with this ability. And before I even get into disagreeing with it, I just want to quickly note that when it comes to the hero pool, like the selections of heroes in the tank slots, I know there's not a lot to go on. But you'll know that every tank has at least a form of defense viable to them. Like, every hero's got to have a form of viability to defend themselves, whether it be a defensive ability or whether it be like an offensive ability. Like, I can't name too many perfect examples, but let's just go for mobility real quick as a defensive ability. Like, just to name a few, D.Va, Winston, and Reinhardt all have mobility effects that can get them out of danger in a relatively fast pace. And even if, it's not 100% successful, at least, it gets them out of trouble a little bit quicker than Orisa, because she would just be standing there. So the problem with her was, if you made her too strong, she would be too much to handle, and if you made her too weak, then she would just melt like a stick of butter going downhill. So, with that being said, I don't necessarily hate what they did, because I also understand why they would do that. But there's one thing that I would have changed into this ability, and I don't know why they would remove it so much as, like, tweak it. Because every hero needs to have a weakness, regardless of whether or not, like, you can't make a too strong hero, and that's going to go into, like, something later on with Echo. I won't do it in this video, but if you guys want to hear it, by all means, drop a comment. So, the thing with her is, like, taking away her critical headshot damage, I understand why they do it on the principle that she is not a very mobile tank, but I think that they could have done a little bit better. And what I mean by a little bit better is, let's make a quick example, because a lot of people don't really acknowledge this, and they don't really think about it, as to my knowledge they don't. So let's take pretty much the entire roster. There's a couple of them that don't deal headshot damage or do deal critical damage when they aim for something, like Ana is one of them, Winston's another. They don't deal critical damage because the type of weapon that they're using. I think the same goes for like Reinhardt and Brigitte, if I'm not mistaken, but they don't deal critical damage. But pretty much every hero that does have a critical damage multiplier on their weapons deals 2 times. Save for one hero that is an exception to the rule, and that would be Widowmaker. Widowmaker doesn't just deal 2 times damage, she deals 2.5. And I did the math. Let's just compare her and McCree for just a second. Let's assume that both of them dealt 55 damage with a normal shot. With their multipliers, respectively, McCree, when he shot the body, would deal 55, and when he shoots the head, will be 110. Whereas Widowmaker would shoot the body at 55, and then when she shot the head, because her critical multiplier is a little higher, she would deal 137.5 damage. which is 27.5 more damage than all the entire roster, which 27.5 damage is a lot considering the hero pools and how like people can get away with like 10, 5, 7, anything on that health range. 20 is a good bar. If they're one bar, that's enough to literally waste a good portion of them. Excuse me. So the point here being, they did that with Widowmaker because of her kit and the way she plays. Why couldn't they do that with Orisa? I don't know, but quite honestly, I think that they should have done something like that rather than remove the critical shot head and multiplier, like reduce it, like a 1.25 or a 1.5 critical headshot damage prevent. Like the multiplier would go down. I think that would have been a little bit better, because now taking away her headshot damage is going to make it a little harder for certain heroes to kill her, but I also, again, understand why they needed to do this. She's just not mobile enough, so I'm going to suspect they're going to probably put it back in the future and maybe make it lower, just so that they could keep her viability, but again, I just would have done it right off the bat. I think that they were just trying to see how it would work. Moving on to the next hero, because I'm killing time, Reaper. So his shotguns had high damage potential and require close range for large targets to fully utilize. They're smoothing out by extending the range in which he can consistently deal damage while lowering the maximum damage for each shot. So they spread is reduced from 8 to 6, meaning that it's a smaller circle in which it all shoots. Damage per projectile reduced from 7 to 5.5. I might need water. So even before the update, I always believed that Reaper had kind of like a phantom range, and I can't really explain it properly in this video, so I'm going to just give a shorthand, and if you guys want me to elaborate that again on a future video, by all means leave a comment. But I always felt, with the way that his bullet spread went out, it was like the bullets would sometimes manage to work in such a way that it didn't matter if you were outside of his effective range. If all those bullets hit, you still got full value. So even if you were 5 meters in front of him or 15 meters out because you created space, you could sometimes get that effective damage. I'm exaggerating a little bit on this one, so by all means, kick me in the ass for that one. Oh, I said a bad word. Not like I'm getting monetized. It doesn't matter. So the point being, the spread, I understand why they did this, and they make them effective more at a range, and I can see why they did the thing for Orisa 2 when it came to Reaper's buff. So the damage per projectile has actually been shown on a video where someone did a damage comparison from the patch notes to what was live at the time, and showing that technically, yes, he is able to hit more at a range, but because his damage is reduced, it does take an extra shot to kill a hero, which is one extra shot that you could potentially miss, and it's also potentially one shot in which they can kill you. So with that being said, it's like it also goes with like the health stealing thing. Now that more of his shots will land, I think he'll steal more health, so that does keep him alive a little longer, but I still think that it's a pretty good balance. I don't personally hate it, but I also do know that me playing Soldier a lot, trying to create space, it's just going to be harder now. Next we go to Winston. The developer comment with him was to slightly make him resilient against shotguns, beams, and weapons with high rate of fire. Going back to my example is Soldier 76. So his base armor is reduced and his base armor and health has been redistributed from 100 armor and 400 health to 150 armor to 350 health. So again, it's self-explanatory. It's basically to give him more resilience against the stuff that affects him by increasing his armor pool, making him more resilient and less easy to kill. I think he needed that because technically it was a little easy to get him. When it came to like particular matchups, that was always going to be a hard thing, so I don't really necessarily find this a bad patch. And quite honestly, I'm okay with it. I think he needed it. Last thing is Wrecking Ball. So this one is absolutely going to require a video to explain, but there are about, I'm going to round up to 5, but I think it's like a few less, like maybe 4 or 3. Out of all those 5 that I was going to mention, Wrecking Ball is one that absolutely needs to be removed from the game, in my opinion, but because he's in there, we just have to deal with him, and I can deal with him. Thanks to his previous nerf, it actually is so much easier to kill him, so I'm actually a little happy about that. And people are starting to recognize that he's basically getting too much value, because obviously they nerfed him again. So developer comment, For how often it can occur, Wrecking Ball's knockback is too strong. No. Really? We're reducing the distance it moves enemy players to bring it more in line with low cooldown knockback abilities. So they reduced his knockback strength by 25%. Okay. Again, I think he's one of the heroes that needs to be removed because, quite honestly, the only real purpose behind him is to contest point and be annoying. The amount of value that he gets for being a tank is a little bit too much. Like, you don't get that same thing even out of Diva. And Diva was annoying to me when I first started playing this game. Like, damn, she needs to be removed. Ultimately now, though, thanks to all the balance patches and all that, making heroes a little bit better to handle situations and not be so taken out or feel like they are incapable of dealing, adequate amount of damage, Wrecking Ball is now like the exception to the rule, where him and a few other select heroes do need to be either heavily rebalanced or they need to have abilities removed or just be removed in general because they do not make the game fun. And Wrecking Ball absolutely is... You have to balance between playing the game and having fun and playing against them and having fun. Like, there are heroes that are fun to play against because it's like, oh, it's a challenge. Wrecking Ball is not that challenge. He is like that annoying little mosquito that flies around and buzzes in your ear every once in a while, and it's like you try and smack him and he just flies away. Like, he is that annoying hero. Shoofly, don't bother me. I don't care about this. Any nerf to him is greatly appreciated, so that's just my opinion on it. Finally ending with some bug fixes, and I think they did something with maps they did something with a map as well. I didn't notice. So, for the general bug fixes, they fixed the bug that caused the player to ragdoll model to fall through the terrain while skipping the kill camera. They disappeared when they put out the new Lunar New Year event, and it's been pissing me off because it's like, really? Are you kidding? Like, I'm falling through the map. How could you let this go this entire event? Like, it's already been 2 out of the 3 weeks that the event runs, and they're still letting it happen up until this point, obviously, where they fixed it. And then the next bug is that they fixed a bug that caused the Bounty Hunter game mode to collapse too early. I don't know what that means per se. I just assume that it's like at the end of the game when the menu hits up and then they close out the match. Maybe it happens too early or something like that. And finally on the map, the Junkertown, they fixed the bug that allowed Tracer to escape map geometry in a specific location. I didn't know where that was, and nor do I care to know, but I think it's good that they figured that out before it got too late and people started utilizing that stuff. I hope people got banned for abusing it. So, and to summarize, I like this patch overall. Again, any nerf to Wrecking Ball is appreciated. The only one that I don't fully agree with is Orisa, but again, that's something that I think they're going to have to see when it comes to the major thing. I'll be honest, I played the experimental patch a few times, but I don't play it often enough, and I don't think that's a way to actually get some content out. I don't think that's a way to fully utilize or use as full complete data for how it works out. The only way to really do it is to sink or swim, and that would be to put it in the main game. So, to summarize, good patch. I'm not hating on it 100%. I'm actually loving the last 3 ones right here, and that's okay with me, but we'll go from there. So if you guys like the content, by all means, please subscribe and consider subscribing. I'll be putting out more content hopefully in the near future. I don't know what I want to do in particular. I have nothing in specific that I would like to do. I just want to see if I can put out more content. However, I do know that I'm going to be working, trying to attempt to get a job very soon because I'm on unemployment thanks to COVID and all that stuff. It affected everybody. So I'm trying to get back in the workforce there. But until that point, I'm going to try and make content and put myself out there. So if there's any ideas that you guys would like to see from me, whether it be my opinions or just for me to shut up about my opinions and put some gameplay, I'll try and do that. So by all means, let me know in the comment section below. Consider subscribing and follow me also on Twitch at ITPPaladin929. I think that's pretty much it for now. Ladies and gents, have a good evening, and I will see you next time.